For today's lesson, lesson 6.3, we're going to be graphing square root functions and inequalities. I'm going to try to make this as simple as I possibly can. Alright, before we worked with square roots, now we're going to be graphing these things. You can see by past skills, 2.5a, we're supposed to be able to graph exponential and logarithmic functions. Square root is considered an exponential function. Okay, all of your square root functions are going to basically look like this. They're going to have an initial point, and then they're going to curve like this. Okay, they might curve like that. They might curve downwards like this. They might curve over like this. They might curve like that. But they're all going to be relatively the same. So they're going to have an initial point, and then they'll go on forever in one of the four directions. Okay? All right, let's just get started here. Okay, some of the key things that you need to do, that you'll need to remember on this, are your squares. So remember that 0 squared is 0, 1 squared is 1, 2 squared is 4, and 3 squared is 9. So these numbers are going to be very important for us today, because we're going to want to be writing equations that are equal to these numbers. All right? Okay, for our first problem right here, let's go ahead and take a look at this. And what we're going to want to do, in order to graph this, we're going to have to make a table of values. But we're going to be making this table of values somewhat backwards. Okay? All right. First of all, we're going to look inside here, and we're going to say, all right, what if 2x is equal to 0? Then that'd be y equals the square root of 0, which would be 0. Now I'll solve this, divide both sides by 2, and x equals 0 divided by 2, which is 0. Okay, the next thing that I want to do is I'll go through here now and say, all right, what if 2x is equal to my next perfect square number, 1? We will divide both sides by 2, and that means that x equals 1/2. All right, but the square root of 1 that I start with is 1, and so if x is 1/2, y is 1. Okay, we'll just keep doing this process. All right, what if 2x is equal to 4? Well, the square root of 4 is 2, so I know that's going to be 2. And I'll solve this by dividing both sides by 2. X is equal to 2. So when x is 2, y is 2. And next, let's go to our next perfect square number of 9. Okay, the square root of 9 is 3, so this would be a 3. Now then, let's set this equal to 9. Divide both sides by 2. X equals 9 over 2, which is equivalent to saying 4.5. Okay, now that we've got those points, and we can graph those points, we'll go ahead and plot them on the scale here, on the grid. 0 graphs to 0, 1/2 graphs to 1, okay, 2 graphs to 2, 4.5 graphs to 3, 1, 2, 3, 4.5 graphs to 1, 2, 3. Okay, we've got enough points now to get our grid here. Alright, try to do as well as you can to get this graph on there. Alright, now then, the next part is state the domain and the range. Recall, if you would please, that the domain is your x numbers. Alright, now this initial point right here is the most important part of your domain and range. Domain referring to x. If it's going in this direction like this, it's going to be greater than equal. Okay, so on this one, my domain, and use set builder notation, this is the x number such that x is greater than equal to this number right here. Okay. Now, if it were going in this direction, instead of greater than equal, I would use the less than equal. Okay, the next thing that I want to look at is my range. Range is your y number. All right. If this thing is going upwards overall, then your range is going to be greater than equal. In this case, it's greater than equal. So remember, range is your y number, y, such that y is greater than equal, and this number is important. That's what you'll use for this one. Okay? So there's the graph. We won't need these. And there's your domain and your range. Now let's move on. Let's graph an inequality. Okay, remember your important numbers here of 0, 1, 4, 9. We might need a 16. I don't know. These are all your perfect squares. Okay, we're going to make a table of values here. This is an inequality. So let's get our table of values first, though. All right. Now, first off, if this thing is 0, then the square root of 0 is 0. Let's set it equal to 0 and solve it. 3x minus 4 equals 0. So 3x equals 4. I add 4 to both sides. So x equals 4/3, which is 1 1/3. So that's 1 1/3. Okay, let's take a look at the next one. Okay, if this is 1, the square root of 1 is 1, so this would be 1. Now let's set 3x minus 4 equal to 1 and solve that. Add 4 to both sides and divide both sides by 3. X is 5/3. 5/3 is 1 2/3. Not a whole lot of help there on that one. Okay, the reason is these are so close together. Okay, let's go to our next magic number, which is 4. The square root of 4 is 2, so this would be a 2. Now I set this equal to 4. 3x minus 4 equals 4. Add 4 to both sides. 3x equals 8. Divide both sides by 3. X equals 8/3. All right, 8 divided by 3 is 2. The remainder is 2, so that's 2 2/3. Now we're getting somewhere. Okay, let's go ahead and set our next one. Let's say this is 9. The square root of 9 is 3, so y would be 3. Now set it equal to 9. 3x minus 4 is equal to 9. Add 4 to both sides. 3x equals 13. Divide both sides by 3. X equals 13/3. 13 divided by 3 is 4 with a remainder of 1. And let's go ahead and go just one more here since we've got plenty of time. Let's set this thing equal to 16. The square root of 16 is 4. Alright, so 3x minus 4 equals 16. Let's add 4 to both sides. 3x equals 20. Divide both sides by 3. 20/3. 20 divided by 3. Okay, that's going to be 6 with a remainder of 2. Alright, now when you're graphing these, it's just basically you're going to have to, kind of estimate or guess where these points are. So 1 1/3 is right about there somewhere. Alright, 1 2/3 somewhere right about there. 2 2/3, there's 1, 2 2/3, that goes up to 2. 4 1/3, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1/3, right about here, goes up to 3, 1, 2, 3, and 6 2/3 goes to 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 2/3, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now that we've got our points to the way to graph it, I want you to remember these arrows right there. If it's either the less than symbol or the greater than symbol, you will be using a dashed, okay, dashed line. If it's less than equal or greater than equal, on the other hand, you will be using a solid curve. All right. So this one being less than equal, I'll be using a dashed, and I'm just going to try to dash these things. Carefully draw this. Okay, now the next part, we've got to figure out what's shaded in because it says that y is less than this thing. Well, it's real simple. If it's less than, you're going to shade below. If, on the other hand, this were turned around and greater than, you would shade above this thing. So, this one being less than, I'm going to shade in below. So let me grab my shading tool. And then below this, I'll shade in the region below the curve. And just take your time. Do a good job. Alright, so that is lesson 6.3, Hope you enjoyed it. Your assignment and the link to the video, as usual, will be posted to Edmodo. You can find this video on YouTube.